Shadow Coffee here. This tutorial is going to be how to navigate through the craziness of Blender. First things first, let me turn on my screencast key so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to go ahead and add a mesh cube. Boom, right in the middle. First thing you want to learn how to do is rotate around this thing in all directions by holding the middle mouse key, the middle mouse button. You can do cool things like this. And then if you hold control and you do mouse button, you can zoom in and out. If you hold the alt key and you do middle mouse button, you can snap like this. Snap to the left, right, up, down, sides of your model, and you can see the orientation on the top left corner. So it says right, front, left, back. Very simple. And then you can scroll in and out by using the middle mouse key on its own. You can click and hold again to drag it around. If you hold shift and you use the middle mouse key, you can move on those axes, but you won't be able to rotate around. So you could rotate, then click shift to move, click shift to move, and then basically you can just rotate it like that. So just get used to those three things: using the middle mouse key to rotate around, grabbing to zoom with control, grabbing alt to snap, and shift to move around. Very simple stuff. Scrolling in and out this way. Just practice and move around the object and get a feel for it. If you get lost, it's like you go all the way over here and you're like, oh no, I can't get back to my cube. Very simple thing to do: view, frame all. It will frame everything in your scene that you have dropped in your scene. If you look in the top right corner here, you'll see your collections. You can name them, so I can double click cube and call it best cube ever. And I can now, if I'm bring in another object, bring in a sphere for example, and I hit G, I can move it. And if I hit G and hit X, I can move it on the X-axis, Y is on the Y-axis, and Z is on the Z-axis. So you can see those different axes you can move it on, or just move it on its own, which is G, without pressing any of those three axes. We're going to just go ahead and move this to the side. We can snap this way. I just want you to go ahead and try and move the ball around so it's on top of the cube, and then move it so it's below the cube. Very simple stuff. Try and just move it around, and then once you've done that a few times, you get bored of it, go ahead and drag in bring in a cone this time. Add mesh cone. Now we have a cone. We can drag that up, and we have a cone, a sphere, and a cube. And now what we can do is we can actually go away. On the top right here, we see best cube ever. We can click that. We can go view, frame selected. It will bring me to my cube. So if you ever want to go to a certain object and you're like, oh no, how do I get back to the object? I could always click up here and frame selected to bring me to the object. Very cool, simple stuff. Another thing you can do besides move it with G, you can scale it with S. So we can click an object like our cone, bring it over here, bring it down here, S, boom, it's huge. We got a big cone. We can make it so big, and then we can make this so small. You know, we can do cool stuff like this. Bring this over here, make it even bigger, something like this. We can click all of them with basically clicking one, holding shift. We can click each and every one like that. Now you can also use with scale, you can use the X, Y, and Z. So if you hit S and then X, you can scale it on the X axis, Y axis, and Z axis. Very cool stuff. What else do we got? So we can shift, click these, very simple navigation tools. Now if you hit tab, or in the top left corner it says object mode up here, you can go edit mode. So we can click our cube, we can hit tab, it will bring us to our edit mode, and we'll see that these are vertices, these little things in the corners. And if we hit 2, it'll switch it to edges. So this is our edge here, one, we can click those, and if we hit 3, it'll switch to faces, and we can click the faces. So now that we're in edit mode and we have this object selected and we have a face clicked, we can actually hit G and drag that face out any way we want, whether it be on either of the axes, applying the same thing. Y with G, you can move it on any of those axes, or just move it on its own with G. You can do the same thing with, if we switch to 1 and we click one of the vertices, we can do the same thing. We can drag it down, make it more like this, right? We could grab all 4 of these and hit S and bring it in and make ourselves a little pyramid. We could do the same thing with the edges. Grab 2 of the edges, hit S, bring them in, but hit S and maybe Z and do something like this, right? And then like click these ones, and do the same thing. Yeah, you know, something like that we could do. So you can do all kinds of cool things with scaling and moving, but then you can also rotate. So we can hit R and we can rotate objects with R by clicking. And the same thing applies. Z is on Z, X is on X, Y is on Y. So we can move those things on the axis we want. If we hold Control, we can kind of snap it into place, or hold Shift and slow it down so that we know we can be more precise. And even more precise is up top here. There's actually a snap tool, so it will snap on certain spots. So we can rotate, we can move, we can scale, all that fun stuff. We can grab individual parts in edit mode. And we can also extrude parts. So if we hit E, we can pull things out of faces, right? To make more complex objects. Just play with it, you know. It's a learning thing. Don't get too overwhelmed. You can click and delete them just by clicking them and deleting them. So cube, you can grab one face, bring it up, bring another face down, another one up. Right? Very simple stuff. Just with E. That's all it is. And even build a little person. Right? I think for the most part, so there's view, one's here with the line, there's select, there's add, you can add all kinds of stuff there, and then there's object. These, I would say practice just what I've shown you and maybe play with, for example, over here on the right, there's modifiers, add modifier, generate subdivision surface. It will smooth your character out, and then you can add a ring loop, which is Control R, and then you can move it. So I could move it here, Control R, move it here, and then if we go to the right here on our subdivision here, we can hit the levels viewport to 3, Don't make this too high, too fast. Like, don't crank it up to 20 because you will probably crash, depending on your PC. So start with like 3. If you want to make it 4 and make it a little bit more smooth, that's fine too. But look, we can add another ring loop here, drag it down to give us a more straighter here. Do another one here, another one here, another one maybe in the middle, down, another one here, up, and so on and so forth to kind of get that character. Maybe add another couple here. And that way they're more smooth. And like if we go and crank this to 4, you can see it gets even smoother. Basically what happens is when we 3D print this model, it will come out smoother and cleaner with these subdivides on them instead of printing it like this. Oh well, it'll look round. It will look square as hell, and I want it round, so I'm gonna do this. But if I didn't add, if I didn't crank this number up, it would look more geoed like that. So it doesn't look great when you 3D print. But if I go and crank this up to a 4. Then all of a sudden it's more round, it looks nicer, and I could 3D print this, right? It's not too bad. So yeah, just play with that. Learn the navigation tools that I showed you at the beginning, and play with building something. So like, try and do something simple with just a couple cubes, bringing the cubes up and extruding them and making them smooth, playing with ring loops, Control R's to add ring loops. Or you could even select everything with A and add a subdivide. So add a couple subdivides, and look, you got all these faces to play with now, and you can extrude these out in different ways. The sky is the limit with 3D modeling. And you can select all kinds of things and drag them around. Add a subdivide to this. Add one down here, another one up here. Play with it and get comfortable with navigation in the program. Before you start doing more complicated things, because just being able to move around the program is super important. Thank you for watching, and catch you in the next one.